Hello my lovelies, and welcome back to Pop Culture for Pen and Paper, where we take a look at the settings of various shows and media and see how we can turn them into a role-playing game. Do you remember childhood, where danger overwhelmed and the mysteries were piled high? And ideally there was wonder, exploration, friendship, and the organic augmented reality that is the imagination. Well, today we're tapping into that by having marvelous adventures in the beckoning wonderland of the Creek with Herkelton, Maryland. The Creek is a, quote, kid utopia of untamed wilderness. A land of varied places from stump bunkers, dirt bike paths, and cardboard cities, to deeper paths waiting to be discovered, or rediscovered, all emanating from the central hub and hangout that is the Trading Tree, peopled with children of all sorts, explorers, paintball commandos, magical girls, teens who remained, and even Gollum's illegitimate child. I mean, lovable bridge troll, because the Creek is for everyone. And who are we to judge? All trying to have fun the best way they know how, sprinkled with faction politics, threats of invasion, and even some weirder things, and you have a place rife with potential. For a setting like this, you might expect things to be a bit loosey-goosey by slotting Craig of the Creek into the Fate role-playing system. But no! Instead, we'll be porting things into the Kids on Bike role-playing game. Kids on Bike tends to be a bit of a darker game, more geared for... But the structures of the game mirror the setup of Craig and his Creek quite well, which we'll go into further shortly. The core mechanic of Kids on Bike is you roll your stat die, add modifiers, and try to equal or exceed a target number. Modifiers are typically bonuses from your age category, and bonuses from spending adversity tokens. The higher the roll determines how well you succeed. But failure still moves the story forward if for no other reason than failure nets you adversity tokens, which you can also use to activate special abilities. Since both the system and the show take place in what is for the most part a recognizable Earth, barring some possible exceptions, everyone plays a human, or a human and then some. I'm not going to tell the horse girls that they aren't the epitome of equestrian grace, are you? Due to the show's focus and presentation, we will exclude the adult category of the system, leaving child and teen, each of which provides different bonuses and abilities. From there, you can pick a trope representing the type of kid you want to play. There are a number of them, and they can cover a wide variety of kids. From there, pick your 2 strengths, which gives you character and mechanical advantages, and 2 flaws, which are mostly for role-playing, along with filling out your fears, motivations, and what's in your backpack. Or purse. It's your style. You do you. Now, if none of the tropes work for the kid you were envisioning, you can build them from scratch. Whatever works best for you. After that, just answer some questions, either provided or determined by the GM, to help make connections between the characters and your kid is ready to play. I mentioned the Kids on Bikes and Craig work well together. Both involve a small town for their settings with room for exploration or odd things to happen outside the view of adults or authority figures. What's more, the collaborative creation where players and the GM determine what rumors or strange places there are to be investigated slots perfectly with Craig's focus on the things that would grab a kid's attention and how they would hear about new places to explore. For example, a kid from the Alliance of Science says there might be a connection between the Creek and the sea. Let's hop on a boat and find out. One feature from Kids on Bikes that might not always feature in a Creek game is the Powered Kid rule. This is your 11 kind of character that comes in and add some weirdness to the characters' lives. There are hints in the series that some of the things that happen might not just be the kid's imagination, and so this rule can cover characters that exist in that gray area. If not that, this rule can represent the guest character that has such a distinct air to them that they need their own rules. For example, a magical girl powered by positive vibes, or a master of the jinx creating silence wherever they go. Now let's take a shake at building our eponymous map maker, Craig Williams, aka Craigie Boy, aka Craigford, aka Jocko Roll Williams, aka this is Tomon's bit, moving on. While using the brilliant mathlete could work for Craig, let's go into the guts of it and build him from scratch, starting with the stats. Stats range from D4 all the way to D20, and going from least to greatest, that would make Craig's brawn a D4. He's got spindly arms, and he relies on his engineering for his heavy lifting. That or JP. From there, his fight is a D6, as he is a thinker and a talker more than a fighter. And he has Kelsey.
Block them all.
After that, his flight is a D8 for when talking and thinking avails him not, but when his talking does avail him, his charm is a D10. His ability to endure and keep level-headed for his thinking is represented by a grit score of D12. And finally, whether with homework, art, or crafts, he big brains it with a brain score of D20. Eat your heart out, Hoagie Gilligan. As for the 2 strengths, the obvious one would be skilled at blank. The blank in this case being engineering, or kid engineering depending on how you want to phrase it. After that, I went with prepared, which allows him to spend adversity tokens to have a common item on hand. One could argue treasure hunter, which allows one to find useful items in the surrounding for adversity tokens, but between Craig's purse of holding and his mild hoarding, I would think prepared works better. From there, his flaws would be reckless, a trait he gets from his grandfather. He'll think about it and try to be safe, but he will try or build most anything. After that, let's go with the other edge of brains. Craig does have a habit of overthinking things, leading to being insecure, but it's the flaws that help make him interesting. As for fears, he's scared of change, because growing up isn't easy, especially when your closest friends are in different grades than you, and he also fears the loss of the Creek, be that an adult crackdown or a war that breaks the bonds of friendship and playtime that would force them to become indoor kids. But if all that is too esoteric for you, there's vultures. Regarding what kind of stories you can tell, this is a question with a broad answer. Any kind of story works here, be it mundane or fantastical. So long as it's filtered through the imagination and wonderment of a child, it works. Getting takeout becomes an epic quest. Climbing through the tallest hill becomes scaling Everest. Passing through the poison ivy becomes a walk through irradiated plague land. The creek, be it Hurgleton or somewhere else you place, it changes over time, so you can fit anything in there. And the kids, while they all want to play, don't always get along, so there's plenty of story fodder there as well. But let's try some specific examples. King of the Hill. 2 or 3 factions decide to play King of the Hill. This becomes the most epic of battles to claim and keep the hill, each faction bringing their own brand of strategy and resources to the fight. The swift vanguard of the 10 speeds crashes against the weapons and tactics of the paintballers, while the Alliance of Science brings their know-how to clear them away. Who wins? Who loses? You decide. Perhaps there is a hidden temple that predates the founders, and you want to be the first to see it and bring it back to the kids. But the temple is littered with traps and riddles, and in the midst of all this, perhaps there is a relic that the junior Forest Scouts want to claim for their own and keep it for themselves. One idea that comes to mind is some of the kids haven't been showing up at the creek lately, and while talking to another kid, the kid mysteriously disappears. Are they playing somewhere else? Have they gotten lost? Or have they been taken by enemy forces from the other side of the creek? The investigation is on. And then maybe put on a hat, switch the filter to black and white, for style. Then maybe have the game take place in different decades to add some period flavor if you're up for it. The possibilities are endless. So, are you ready to go out and play?